Welcome back to another Fusion 360 tutorial. In this tutorial, we're going to learn about the various sketching tools that are available to us. So all the sketching tools are available in this menu right here. These are all the sketching tools. Down below are all the editing tools that we will use later on. So the first tool is line. Now there's an L right here, which means that you can just hit L and you can activate it, or you can click it from the menu. So I'm going to click on it. Okay, when I click on it, you'll see that my cursor turns into a sort of an addition sign. And all I want to do is just, I can click and drag out a line, whatever length I want. I can just do it, freely. Just drag it out, put on an angle I want, and place it. And then when I do that, it starts up another one, and I can place it. And it'll keep asking me to do that. And you'll notice some of these little modeling aids, that blue dashed line, show up, and it's just trying to help you draw. Don't worry about it too much. And I can just keep placing lines until one of two things happen. Either I click on this check mark, or I click up here and I close it into a closed object. So if I use the check mark, it's done. And I can start by placing another one wherever I want. And if I click up here, I'll click one more, click here, and then it closes it. And you'll notice that the tool is still activated. You have to hit escape to close it. You're still in your sketch, but it's still activated. And your drawing has this brown sort of color to it, and that tells you that you've created a closed object, and the lines are blue, and those blue lines indicate that they're all closed. So the other thing we're going to do is we can enter in dimensions. So I can enter 3 inches, and I can tab over, and now there's a little lock symbol next to the 3 inches. So I cannot change the length of that line. The only thing I can change is the angle. What I can do though is I can type in an angle, and it works. Negatives won't work. You have to know your degrees. So you'll have to understand what that needs to be. But let's make a 37.5 degree angle. And my mouse was in the wrong spot. And there we go. We have our line on an angle. There's a construction line here. That's what that dashed brown line looks like. Orangey brown, and it's a construction line, and that's what they're using to measure that off of. So those are the line commands. The next is rectangle, and you'll know you can hit R for 2-point rectangle, or you can click on it and there's a 2-point, a 3-point, and a center rectangle. A 2-point rectangle is just drawn corner to corner, just like that. And as you probably figured out, I can also, just like the lines, I can enter dimensions, so I can make that 2.5, and I can tab and make that 1.75, and I can specify specific size rectangles as well. The 3-point rectangle lets us create rectangles by specifying a side and then a dimension out. Let's just put them kind of on an angle. And the same thing as before, I can do this. I can type in 1.75, and then I can pick where I want the next one to be, and then I can pull it out, and I can do 1.75 if I wanted as well. But we want it to be out this side. And I can flip it back and forth, but there we go. So now I've got doing a rectangle that way. And the other thing is doing a center rectangle. One thing that's interesting is that when you have a menu that has multiples in it, if the command is active, you'll notice that I still have the rectangle command active. You actually get the option to get them from change here too. So let's change to a center rectangle, and you just click from the center and you drag it out. And like before, We can specify dimensions as well as just dragging it out. Interesting thing about a center rectangle is that it automatically generates a center point to snap to, as well as two construction lines going through corner to corner, which you may find helpful. Okay, so that's rectangles. Circles are next. So we'll start with the center diameter, fairly straightforward. You click it, you can drag out, and you get a circle, and it's the diameter. So if I want a 2-inch diameter circle, I type in 2, hit enter, now it's locked, and I can roll it around for really no reason. And there we go, place it, I've got a circle. Okay, if we go up to the menu, 2-point circle, you specify the diameter by clicking 2 points, and you may find that that's useful in certain drawings. Our next circle is a 3-point circle, and we can just place 1, place 2, and place 3 points. Again, there's certain times that is useful. Now our next one requires a line, so I'm going to put a line in place. I'm going to put a few lines in just to help us out. So our next circle is a tangent, 2-tangent circle. So it creates a circle tangent to 2 sketch lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that, and it's going to ask us, if you just hold your mouse still, it actually tells you what it wants. Select first tangent. Select our second one, and we can draw a circle in such a way that the edges, think about it, in this case the 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock are attached perfectly tangent to the line. What that means is the best way I describe it is if you were in a car and you were going around this round racetrack and going round and round and round, you wouldn't need to turn at all to get onto this line and drive out of the circle. It's nice and smooth, it's not rough or difficult. So that's two tangent, using two lines. If we go to our 3 tangent, it's the same thing. So what we can do is we can click 1, we can click 2, we can click 3, and when we get to the third one, it creates a circle. And what's nice is that can easily fill in a circle in the space provided. Quite handy. So those are our circles. Let's have a look at arcs. So there's 3 types of arcs: 3 points, center point, and tangent. So 3 points is exactly that, a start and an end point, and then you just shape it the way you want. Our next one, center point arc. You place a center, then you decide what the radius is going to be. We'll say 1 inch, and now it's locked to 1 inch. And what I can do is, if I place it here, I can then swoop it over, and I get an arc that's a radius of 1. The other nice thing about the tangent arc is that we can use it to our advantage. And let's say that we have this shape and we want to put a nice curve on the end. Easiest way to do that is click arc, click tangent arc, specify start point, and then boom, we drag out a nice arc and it's nice and curved. So handy for that kind of thing. And those are arcs. So the next thing we're going to look at is going to be polygons. And there's 3 types: circumscribed, and the polygon is on the outside of a circle; inscribed, which is on the inside of a circle; and one defined by an edge. Now a polygon is just a shape that has multiple sides, but not a rectangle. So let's look at circumscribed polygon. So basically we're just going to pick a center point, and then we're going to drag it out. So notice that we can pick our size. I'm going to pick 2. and hit enter, and we get a hex. Now say you don't want a 6-sided object. Well, what we want to do is we want to do 2 inches. We'll tab over and we'll change that to 3. We get a triangle. We don't want that. Let's change that to 5. There we go. That's a polygon that most people kind of know. And then we can rotate our polygon around and place it wherever we want. How about like that? So that's the simple polygon. Now, next one is inscribed. And this, as I said before, this is going to need a center point. But you see how it's inside that circle. Same thing, 2 inches, tab over, make it 5 sides. And we can place it whatever we want. We're going to have to place snap points if we want to locate it specifically. But I'll place it. There we go. And the next one, the last one, is going to be edge polygon. And this one we just create our edge. First point, last point, and we have our sides. We'll make it 5. There we go. 3 different ways to make a polygon. So our next tool we're going to look at is the ellipse. It's pretty straightforward. You place a center point, you pick however what you want the radius to be of the x-axis, we'll say 3 inches, enter, and we can rotate it if we want, or we can leave it 180 degrees, and then y-axis, I'll make it 1, and place, and then you get a 3 by 1 ellipse, or oval, for those of you that know that word. Slot is really handy. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different slots. So center to center, pretty straightforward. There we go. We have a slot. We can specify exactly 6 inches and 0 degrees. And then if we want it to be 1 inch wide, there we go. So a 6 by 1 inch slot might be useful for something. Our next one is going to be overall slot. So if I want it to be 6 inches long, 1 inch that way. Its end to end is 6 inches, not center to center like the other one was. So that one's handy. Next one is center point slot. So this one is starting from the center, going out. If we wanted 6 inches, we'd have to type a radius of 3. And 1 inch going this way to get the same sort of size as the other one. Our next slot is going to be 3-point arc slot. Pretty simple. 1, 2 there. And our third point to get the arc we want, and then we can drag it out, and we can make it 1 inch if we want, and there we go. And our last one is center point arc slot. So pick the center, pick up here, draw out our arc, and then make it the width we want, which 1 inch is my lucky number. Spline is going to be your most useful tool for using canvases for modeling, because on curved pieces you just start placing points and you can curve things around. When you get to a sharp corner, right, it doesn't look very good. It looks really bad, and it changes what you've done before. So I generally will just close it and then start again from that point if I want a sharp corner, and hit OK. One thing you'll notice about a spline is that it has these green bars, and those green bars are there for you to grab, and you can use them. You can drag them up and down and around, and you can adjust your line. So pretty handy. So that's the spline. Your conic curve, it just creates a curve in a different way. You have 2 points. you bring it out to say to whatever makes you happy, and then you can either type things in, or you can use this to drag it down and give yourself slightly different shape to it. And enter when you're done, or left click. So point objects are great. Just placing points lets you snap to things. Very handy. Nothing's crazy about that. The last one is text. Text is pretty handy because we can enter text. Test, that's going to be our test text. We can change the height if I want it to be 1 inch tall. I can change the angle, make it 45 if I want. Make it 0 at this point. We can make it bold, we can make it italic, and we make it underlined. The underline is kind of lame though, so I generally, if I really wanted a blocky underline, I would draw it. And the other thing too is we can change the font, so we can change it to whatever makes us happy. We can flip it. Flipping's handy if you're drawing for a t-shirt or something and you need to mirror it before you put it on the shirt, but we generally just do that in the sign cutting software, so I wouldn't worry about that. You could flip it the other way. The only thing you can't do from within Fusion is change the font to something that doesn't exist. It only uses the fonts that are installed on Windows. But what we can do is we can go to a website like 1001 Fonts and get free ones, download them, install them, and then reboot the... all you have to do is cancel out of text and then reopen it and redo it, and it'll work, and you can get custom text. So when we're done, we'll hit OK, and there's our text. Can't actually do anything with it unless we right-click on it and explode it, and that turns it into sketch lines. But you will notice that they're green. Green means that they're fixed and they can't be moved. So I can try to select it and I can try and move it, nothing happens. But if I go over here with the text selected, go to fix and unfix, click on that, it's still green. And it's kind of buggy. Sometimes it'll turn blue right away, sometimes you have to do fix unfix twice. I don't know why. But now when I click on it, I can drag it and move it. So those are all the tools in the Sketch toolbox for drawing. Hopefully this clears up what some of them are used for. Thanks for watching.